gorgeous ones, how are we? Hello to my Instagrammers, hello to the Facebookers. I hope you're all happy and well, and as usual on Facebook, I think I have to have the phone kind of landscape, and so when you do that, in order to get the cooking, chops off my head, but I figured much rather see my food than my head anyway. So, hello gorgeous ones, how are we all tonight? I've got lots to talk about. I'm going to show you it's a new recipe for me. It's probably not new for some of you. Hello Sheena gorgeous, but it's super easy. Hello Billy Does Life, not sure who you are, but it's a great name, I love that. And Angie, I can see you too, hello. So tonight I'm making a chicken-based pizza. So it's super easy, and hello Susan gorgeous. And I've got a lot to talk about because it is International Women's Day, so I'm going to talk about a bit of that while I cook something quick and easy, good for everybody. And hello Beth, gorgeous woman, and we'll get chatting. So I have, of course, got a bowl. Now, this is the easiest recipe of all time. So basically what it is I'm making a pizza base out of chicken mince. So the beauty of that is it's lots of protein. Chicken's lots of protein. There's a little bit of cheese, but you've really got much less carbs. Hi Brodwin. And what we're really wanting, obviously on a low carb lifestyle, is to prioritize protein. Just checking that wasn't the cat. Prioritize protein, reduce your carbs, and have some good healthy fats, along with some veggies and all of those things. So I think the chicken-based pizza really hits the spot there. So it's super simple. And I'm not going to use my fingers because I've realised I don't have to. You don't have to for this, so it's easy peasy. So I've just got half a kilo of mince. I've got a magic trick for you for this one because it's so quick to make, but it does take about 25 minutes to cook. So I've actually pre-cooked one already this afternoon. And then what I'm going to do is put this one in the freezer. So it freezes. So if you want to do a couple of meals at once, you can. So basically I just whack in half a kilo. So a pound for any people, overseas visitors. It's a pound of chicken mince, which is half a kilo, 500 grams, 600 grams. Remember, I'm not mad on quantities of things. You can do whatever you like. Everything always works out. I've actually got, now I don't know if you girls can see my halo shining, but I grated my own Parmesan today. So I'm going to put in about half a cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup. And I probably could have grated it a little bit finer. Hi Katrina, a bit finer, but it's still fine. So, you know, half a cup of Parmesan. If you've got it pre-grated, perfect. If you haven't, well, you're gonna have to grate it. And I'm gonna put in some herbs. Again, you can put whatever you like in. I'd recommend some salt, some herbs, some garlic. I happen to have this, you know, a bit of mingle, which if you've been in any of our 12-week programs, you will have. Alyssa, hello, gorgeous. Feel like I haven't seen you for a little while. So, you know, generous bit of a sprinkle. Now, here's a tip for young players. Mingle, do not use any anti-caking agents. And haven't Australia had the biggest amount of humidity on the east coast of all time? So we are either underwater or we've got water in our atmosphere, and so it is making this a little plugged together. So I just get a skewer in and shake it up before I put it in. So seriously, so far, half a kilo of chicken, half a thing of Parmesan, half a cup of Parmesan, some herby things, and a raw, not boiled, egg. I saw Melissa's post in the group today saying that she's done like I have, where she's boiled her eggs and didn't label them, so I went to crack one open. So that's it. And then basically you just mush it all together. So it's, you know, everyone can mush. Oh, you're loving your mingle, Karen. That's great. You know, as you all know, I'm a super fan. I use it for everything. I can resurrect a meal that's a bit subpar, maybe a bit flavorless, and I'll just go, oh, that flavor didn't hit the spot. What could I add to it to reinvent it? So it's quite, the mix is it's reasonably wet. Okay, so don't panic about that. It doesn't need to be dry. So just a reasonably wet mix, and then basically, this is where the easy bit happens. I get a couple of bits of baking paper. I'll just grab another one out. Baking paper is one of those things I have on high rotation in my house because we do use a fair bit of it. I have tried various silicone mats. I'm sure you have too. Hello, darling. How are you, Carolyn? But honestly, sometimes you just need the paper, don't you? And then now, of course, I'm doing that thing where I'm butchering the clippy thing. But again, what I can do is I'll just use the old one. So, all right. So we've got our half a kilo of chicken mince. We've got our half a cup of parmesan. We've got an egg. We've got some herbs, and then basically I'm going to divide this in two. So I've got a door open for the wind, for the breeze to kind of get rid of the humidity in the house, and it's just blowing a few things everywhere. So then, you don't need a rolling pin for this. You just get a lid. Oh, I've got a lid. And you just shape it. So what you'll see is I'm just going to bring it in to make it nice and round. And again, you can shape this a pizza base. You can shape it to whatever shape you like. I don't know. I mean, I know we do round, that's traditional, but there's nothing to stop you doing a square one or an oblong one or whatever shape you want. But we also want to make it not too thick. So the idea is that you're making this and it'll be a thin sort of pizza crust. And so then I can just work this baby with some nails and spread it out like that. And then just basically give it a little massage, make it nice and flat. You're welcome, Fiona. You're welcome. This is actually, interestingly, it's the same recipe that you can make the chicken balls with. For those of you who have made the chicken balls before, it's the same recipe, but instead of rolling it into balls, you just roll it flat out. Chicken's super versatile for this because it doesn't have a great amount of flavour. So it is easy then to add flavours to, like, I mean, I know people do a beef base with beef mince for their, like a beef-based pizza, but honestly, the beef is pretty overpowering. So I'm just about happy with this. I'd probably make it just a little bit flatter. But you can, what I love is that you can just make it beautifully smooth, so easy. And then you take the lid, take the top layer of your parchment off. Huzzah, look at that. So showing you that, that's your base. And then I just happen to have, who thought I would have this organised? I'd have a pizza tray here. Now, I know in the past people have put their trays like this straight on. You need to keep the baking paper under, otherwise all the cheese melts through and all the fat melts through onto the bottom of your pan. So then basically you whack this into the oven, it's a hot oven, so 210 Celsius. I've got mine 210 fan force, so pretty hot oven. Or 450 Fahrenheit if you've got an old oven or if you're in the States. So, and it's about 20 minutes minimum. So I actually left mine in a bit longer. If you take it out too early, it's soggy. So, it does shrink a bit. So this one I prepared earlier. So what you can see is this is how it's come out now. It's come off the paper because I moved it a bit. So it does shrink in, so it won't be quite as big as that. And then what I'm gonna do is, so that's the pizza base, and you turn it over and that's going to be my topping. So that the hot bit is on the bottom, and I reckon just going to conserve a bit of paper here, but I'm just going to do that. And then that's my pizza. So why don't I put something on top of it? I'll just grab out of my cupboard a little bit of passata. You could definitely put tomato paste if you have that. I'm not going to put too much on because it's a bit runny. And I'll just grab a spoon. And then, so we've got this little pizza baby. And I mean, I know you girls all know, guys, boys and girls, you all know how to make pizza. Hello, oh Jan, how are you doing? I'm just trying to see, I haven't got my big eyes on. So I put spinach on my pizza. It's really nice. It goes sort of slightly soggy, so just put a bit of that on. Over here I have a pre-chopped Again, look at me go getting ready for meal. Pre-chop my some mushies. And I haven't pre-chopped my capsicum, but I have it here, handy, with a knife. So I cannot tell you, whoever, I've forgotten who now told me about the knife sharpening place near here, near my house, revolutionised my life. 20 years I've had these knives and I've never got them professionally sharpened. I've done the, the zhut thing that you get with it, but that's not a patch on having them professionally sharpened. So that's it. Basically, I'm now going to pop that. So I've got this, which I'll put in the oven for 25 minutes. Then when they come out, I will put this one in. Now, I forgot to get the cheese out of the fridge, but on the way over, I will sprinkle some mozzarella cheese on it. And that's basically pizza. So all your protein, lots of protein. It's 250 grams of chicken. So, if we think about that's, what's that, about 22 grams, 44, 50, over 50, about 54 grams of protein in that meal, which is a good amount. Particularly if you only eat 2 meals a day, you need that amount of protein in your dinner. Otherwise, you're starving your body of protein, and your body will not be happy. Now, moving on, I've got another little trick to show you. So I was talking to one of our new members the other day, this morning or yesterday, and we were talking about eggs. Everyone hates eggs. And I said, have you seen my chocolate mousse egg recipe? She goes, no. I thought, oh my God. So for those of you who haven't, you need to go and have a look back through our blogs. There is a recipe and it uses boiled eggs, but you can make it with scrambled eggs. And I have done this. So one of the things I've done it is if I've made, and this happened, I may have told you guys, but for Christmas I made a pavlova, and then I'm not very good at cracking the eggs, so I got a few duds. So I got the whites, I got the yolks, and then I had a mixture of yolk and egg together. So I put all of those into a pan and just scrambled them a bit. Like I didn't want them burnt like an omelette, baked like an omelette. I just wanted them cooked. So I cooked them and then turned them into the mousse. Now, again, it doesn't matter how many eggs. I just make up the quantity. So this particular version, which is in here for the Instagram, it's in my thermi. I had 9 eggs that had been boiled. I'd forgotten about them at the back of the fridge. They needed to be used. And I had a carton of cream that needed to be used, 2 cartons, in fact, of 300 mils. So I didn't use all of them. So basically, in this little creation, there's 9 eggs, about 400 mils of cream, about half a cup, maybe a little bit more of a sweetener. I know I used an erythritol with monk fruit, and about 3/4 of a cup of cacao. I had to put a bit of extra in because I didn't like it. And then look at this. This is how it is. So then what I do is I put it into these little muffiny things, and I'm going to put them into the freezer. And then it freezes a bit like ice cream, not quite as, it hasn't quite got that texture. But it means that I can keep them, and then I can pop them out and stick them in a bag. And then if I do feel like a little something, which as most of you know, I spend a fair bit of time trying to not do little somethings, because like everything, I have to decide, is it going to be helpful or unhelpful? Now, fortunately, and the way I look at that is, can I regulate it? So can I regulate these? And the answer is actually yes. I haven't yet anyway, let's hope my record stands. I haven't sat down and had like 6 of these. Past Lucy might have, but current Lucy doesn't do that. So I get one, I just get one out and some berries, and then I just, that'll do. But if you had problems regulating, if you decided that you would kept wanting to go back and kept going back, then that might be a problem. But currently, for me, it isn't. I think because they're in the freezer. If they were maybe on the shelf, or maybe if it was like brownies that are in a tray where every time you open the fridge, they're staring at you, it might be a bit trickier. But for me, I can actually regulate this stuff. So I call that a win. So, look at it. It doesn't look, you wouldn't even know there were, so, it doesn't look like eggs, does it? It just looks like chocolate mousse. Bloody doesn't taste like boiled eggs, that's for sure. It just tastes like mousse. So, and then I just give them a whack. Put a bit more in this one. Now, while we're chatting, lovelies, what I also want to talk about today, International Women's Day. Now, I know some of you have had a quick look at our social media post, which I put up this afternoon. And the wonderful thing about International Women's Day is it celebrates women's achievements. And, you know, people always go, why do women need their own special day? And it's because, frankly, we spent a lot of our lives, up until recently, being incredibly oppressed. And we have now, over the last 100 years, you know, done a lot more, maybe 120 years, with the whole suffragette movement right back in the 1900s about getting the right to vote and a whole heap of things that probably some of us now just take for granted, but certainly were not the privilege of women many, many years ago. Now, the thing about it, right, is that this year's little slogan is break the bias, which is wonderful, recognising that there is a bias against women. I want to take it that step further, because there is a bias against women who are not in perfect bodies. There is a bias against women who are overweight, what society deems to be overweight, in bigger bodies, who are older than whatever the use by date deemed acceptable for women is. There is a bias against women with disability. There is a bias against women with grey hair. I mean, it drives me nuts. There is no bias against men. Women have constantly, now it's like we get stuck, you know, because if you spend some time trying to, you know, look after yourself and perhaps do something to counter that bias, you know, like women are getting Botox. They're getting Botox because older women are discriminated against. So yeah, of course you want to look younger to avoid discrimination. So what happens though is we end up judging the women for doing that. It's not about that. It is about the idea that as women, we do not, you know, we do not need to have our bodies judged. We don't need our decision on whether we're having children judged. We don't need our decisions or the style in which we parent judged. Those are the things that are judged by the media, by, you know, even people on social media all the time. Rarely do people judge men on their parenting, but they do for women. And if there is a problem, it'll always be, oh, well, his mum worked all the time, you know what to expect. Not his dad worked all the time, because everyone expects that. But really, it has got to stop. So women have, you know, as I said, we get to this point where our bodies no longer commercially viable, you know. So women get looked over in acting parts. You know, there's a few leading ladies who are older, and, you know, Helen Mirren, and I'm sure you can name a few others. The lady whose name is on the tip of my tongue, who plays the witch in Harry Potter with the cat, who I'm sure one of you women will think, will be able to let me know. But overall, men don't. You know, George Clooney, he's not getting told, you know, dye your hair. None of those are. It absolutely drives me nuts. So we get told that we're no longer usable, you know, no longer valuable. We're invisible. And I'm sure that there are many of you out there who really, Maggie Smith, thank you, darling, Maggie Smith, and Judi Dench. They are totally awesome women. And they are breaking the stereotype. But for a lot of others, they're not. For a lot of others, they're not. There's, you know, models, again, you know, these are women with aesthetically perfect bodies, but there's not many of them who are over 35. There's a couple, but the majority of them are just put out to pasture. So it's really important to recognise that we're not invisible. We don't have a use by date just because our bodies are, you know, wearing out. You know, of course they're going to wear. They're normal. It's normal. If you don't wear out, well, then what? You're dead, because that's the only way for your body not to continually, for cells not to turn over, for joints, or, you know, you don't move them. But joints are going to move. They're going to wear out. That's all normal, and we should be celebrating it. It's a privilege to get old. It's a privilege for our bodies to age, and instead we're told that we're not really that valuable anymore. Go away and just be a, you know, old woman. Remember that thing I said last time? Old woman is it's a slur. It's what you will use to call someone who you think is a bit dithery. Oh, stop being such an old woman. old women are wise, are experienced, are valuable, and need to be nurtured and really celebrated in our society, because we are more than a body. That's absolutely for sure. So what I want you to know, that at Real Life Medicine, I know that we're talking about weight loss, and it's that little thing that I get in there that I feel that tiny little bit of me feels a bit icky, because it's not, we don't want you to lose weight so that you look better for society. Okay, we don't want that for you. What we really want is for you to be able to do the things you need to do to be healthy. The side effect for that is weight loss. But sometimes when you try and sort of sell that message, if you like, people will do whatever it takes to lose the weight. Like, they will sacrifice their bodies. They do brutal regimes. They eat, very processed, shaky things. There's a bloody giant billboard at the moment with man shake, lady shake. And, there's all these transformation photos. They're very compelling. They're very alluring. And they're absolute rubbish, because we are more than a shake. We are just wonderful, glorious human women in particular. Your bodies can do incredible things, and I think we should be celebrating that. There you go. Rant over. So, lovelies, I hope you're all well, happy. Oh, good. I'm glad you love it. Thank you. And this is written on Insta, Dr. Lucy for Prime Minister. I tell you what, I would get eaten alive in that bloody boys club. There, you have to be, it is a very, very toxic environment for women, and I don't know that I'd survive it. I don't think I've got it. I don't think I'm quite hard enough. Too busy being, kind and lovely. But still, I still think from our perspective, we're not invisible. And if you ever feel invisible, we see you. I see you. Lovelies, I'm going to go and put my pizza in the oven, and I'll take a picture. Sometimes I forget. Poor Erica, I send her thinking, she goes, oh, have you got any pictures? I go, whoopsie. But I'll take a picture, put it in the socials, and the recipes, they'll be up on the blog in the morning, or Thursday, something like that. Darlings, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and happy International Women's Day to all of you. Bye, darlings.